short form videos. This time it is the top 5 PGA DFS Fades for the Mayakoba Classic. Now, last week I did something, maybe a little fortuitous. I don't know what the right word to use here is. In fact, if you want to tell me what the right word is here, like and subscribe to the video and make a comment and tell me what the right word to use here is. But last week, I had Harold Varner as one of my top 5 values, and then as the week progressed and I saw his ownership skyrocket and be north of 15%, I included him in my top 5 fades video. Well, I'm doing something really similar this week. Don't hate me for it again, but I think Denny McCarthy is falling into that same category. Now, I'm going to go a little bit out of order, but I just wanted to bring that up first before I got into talking about Denny McCarthy and people like, hey, I just watched your values video and you said he was a good value. In a cash game setting, I do think Denny McCarthy is still a good value, but we'll talk about him in a couple of seconds here. First, let's talk about my first fade of the week. That was a little first, a little too much there, but still, let's talk about Corey Conners. $9,000 on DraftKings this week, which pretty high for him, but his projected ownership is now skyrocketing, coming in north of 20%. We've got Corey Conners at less price and about half the ownership the last couple of weeks. Now, looks like everybody wants to jump in. That's the time for me to jump out. Course history is terrible here. Given the fact that you have to be good putter, you have to be able to make your 10-footers this week, which we've seen Corey Conners not be able to do for quite some time. Look, he's ranked 203rd in strokes gained putting this year. Obviously, that shows why he's had probably pretty bad success here at El Camaleon. 75th in a missed cut in his last 2 tries. So Corey Conners, my first fade, $9,000, 20% projected ownership. Similar type of fade reason for Russell Henley for me this week, coming in at $9,700 on DraftKings with a projected ownership of north of 20%. So I'd be okay with that if he wasn't coming off of back-to-back top, 29s. He had a 29th and 30th in his last 2 starts. That's not something we want out of a guy that's $9,700. Also, he doesn't have great course history. He missed the cut here last year and 29th the year before. So listen, we know his approach game is one of the best on the PGA Tour. It ranks 3rd this year, but the rest of his game is not that great. 124th off the tee, 127th around the green, and 116th putting. So again, we know he relies heavily on the approaches, but on a course like this, it's seashore past Palm. It's not really Bermuda, which is obviously Henley's go-to putting green surface, I should say, type of grass. There's some weird things about that. If you get into that, great. If you don't, I think it's a little bit all noise. But still, Russell Henley, I don't think it's a great spot for him here this week. I'll be fading him at 20%. Next guy who I'm going to talk about is actually probably the guy that I'm most nervous about to fade this week. I know that sounds weird, nervous to fade somebody, but it's Chez Reavie. He's $7,600 and projected at 15% owned this week. That's not that bad, but he's coming off of a missed cut and a 29th place finish, so it's not like he's really playing all that well, especially given the fact that his projected ownership is going to be north of 15%. It seems pretty high. Course history, though, is very good. That's why I'm a little nervous to fade him at $7,600. He's made the cut, I believe, at least the last 4 times here. So it gives me a little won't lose too much sleep over it. Let's put it that way. But still, I'll have him in about 10% of GPPs, and I won't be playing him in my big dollar lineup. I'll let him try and beat me there. Okay, now we'll get on to talking about Denny McCarthy. $7,400 this week. That's why, first off, I put him in my values play. It seems like a good value at $7,400, and I think for cash game purposes, he sets up well. However, I think for GPPs, coming in at 11 to 15% projected ownership, I think you can go to some pivots in that range, like Doug Gim and John Ha, who I also included on those value plays as well. So I'll be fading Denny McCarthy in GPPs this week, playing him in cash, not playing him anywhere else, though. Course history is pretty decent, 48 and 41. That's exactly what I mean. If he gives us that again here this week, somewhere in the mid-40s, he'll help us out for cash because he's a great putter. He'll put up some points, but ultimately not a great GPP option. Okay, the last fade is a weird fade for me, and it's Brian Harman. The reason why I'm fading him, because I'm fading him on DraftKings. $8,400 on DraftKings with a projected ownership of about 14%. However, on FanDuel, he's min price over there. So I decided, why pay $8,400 and try and get exposure to this guy if I don't think he can win, which I don't think he can. He doesn't have great course history here, and he's coming off a miscut at his home course there. in Sea Island, Georgia. So I don't think everything is going his way. However, at min price on FanDuel, that's where I'll get my exposure. I'm going to fade him on DraftKings, and I'll fade him in the big dollar on FanDuel. Obviously, I'm not the only one to see that Brian Harman is min priced on FanDuel, so a lot of people will be doing it, but his ownership still will be lower than lower in GPP formats than it would be in those bigger dollar buy-ins. So I'll fade him in the bigger dollar buy-ins, fade him on DraftKings, and I'll play him in the GPP on FanDuel. So, okay, let's review quickly my top 5 fades for the Mayakoba Golf Classic. Corey Connors, Russell Henley, Chez Reavie, Denny McCarthy, and Brian Harman. So thank you all for joining one of my short form videos. I like doing these. These are a quick way to get you the information, normally 5 to 7 minutes. A lot quicker than probably what I was doing in some of the previous videos. So hopefully you guys like them. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter or in our Slack chat, wherever you find your best way of communicating is, and let me know that you do or do not like these videos. So again, thank you for joining the top 5 PGA DFS Fades for the Mayakoba Golf Classic. Good luck this week, everybody. And of course, join Ben Raz and I tonight, 8:30, live before lock. That's, of course, if you're watching this on Wednesday afternoon, which I suspect you are. So thanks, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you on the other side. Cheers.